to call the meeting to order at 11:34. Roll call. Thompson? Here. Freda here. And we'll go right into Buckeye's presentation. And who's going to be presenting?
We go by the
Just state your name for the record.
Mark Donnelly, Treasurer of Buckeye Local Schools. And we have a presentation. Hopefully, the information requested is there. We have a few other details to share about Buckeye. And also, we have Mr. Jeff Stanton, our superintendent. He has some comments about discussion.
Good.
Mark's
Talking for me, I like it. Jeff Stanton, Superintendent of Schools, Buckeye.
This is the most updated, correct?
Yes.
This is what you brought in this morning?
That's dropped off, yeah, fresh. Yeah.
Perfect.
All right, gentlemen, thank you for the opportunity again, and nice to see everybody again. We figured we'd follow the same format that we did last year because we thought it worked for you guys and worked for us as well. I'm just gonna give a quick few comments, and then I know primarily we're here for finances, so I'll turn it over to Mark as well. You know, the Buckeye story remains. It's the same discussion that we had last year with you. You know, it's a great school district. You know, we've got great students, great teachers, great staff. The community is great. So a lot of really exciting things continue to happen at Buckeye. From an enrollment projection, you know, we are stable from an enrollment projection to a, you know, as you look at enrollment projections, stable in, we're 2,000 students, so now we are projected to always remain between 1,900 and 2,100 students for the next 25 to 30 years. So from an enrollment perspective, we are very consistent. You know, we continue to try to make things better for our students, opportunities for students all the time, just to do what's right for our students. Our critical concerns remain as they were last year when we talked with all of you. You know, our capital improvements and our facilities kind of under one bucket. And, you know, I realize that we are the first school district here today, so I'm the first in this round. I'm glad to be the first one to say this. If in any way, shape, or form you can find a way to help us find more bus drivers, let us know, please. We would certainly be interested in that because we're continuing to struggle to find bus drivers, as a lot of school districts are. Last year, we laid out a plan for all of you that was an immediate address of our capital improvement needs, and I know Mark's going to talk about a lot of things that we did, and we will continue to do this summer. And also, certainly, the reality of our facility needs, which we're going to talk about. Last year, this time, you were supportive of what we brought to you, and certainly we hope that you're supportive again. Last year, when we were here, we were talking about, we had a bond issue for a construction plan. It was up in May. That was not successful. So we rallied pretty quickly after that because our facility concerns still remain. Primarily, our junior high school is the main concern, and a building that we are in desperate need to have a different plan for. So we came together with our board and with Mr. Donnelly as well, certainly with a plan. It was a modified new facility plan, new master facility plan, to build new Buckeye High School, to once again bring our junior high school students out of our current junior high school and bring them into an updated as best we can with the funding building that is where our current high school is. The new plan has nothing to do with athletics or really anything else. It's a modified plan. It is a self-funded plan, and Mark's going to walk through how we believe that we have the ability to self-fund it. It was important to us that we continue to address the facility needs, even though we have not been successful with bond requests from the community. And another important part of this project, when we open up a new high school, hopefully in 2029, convert our high school to a junior high school to take care of the junior high school issue, it's also going to give us the opportunity to expand preschool, which we feel is a need in our community. The concern now certainly is the concern that we have on the impact of changes of public school financing here, not only for Buckeye, but all schools in the county and all schools in the state. And then as that plays out, you know, Buckeye, as we talked about last year, that Buckeye has a long history of, you know, not being successful when we have sought operational funding in the community. So as we look at potential future and the impact of changes from the public school financing perspective from the state, from an operational perspective, if and when we have to go to the community, we would think that we would be going sooner than we projected. None of this obviously has been determined, but if and when we have to do that, you know, the concern with not being successful for operational money in our district certainly is a concern. With that, that's my quick few minutes for you. I know most of what you're gonna ask and what you're interested in relates to finances, so I will turn it over to.
Certainly not all. Sir, you mentioned that enrollment, you're anticipating enrollment to remain steady between 1,900 and 2,000 students for the next, what did you say?
Yeah, really 25, 30 years. So when you
What's that based on?
Yeah.
What I'm asking is what empirical data is that based on? Because I'm gonna be very frank with you. That is certainly not what was represented in the recent, data that was distributed through the county. There was a big meeting last week, we just mentioned that.
Yeah.
That is certainly not an accurate representation of what they forecast.
Sure. Yeah, so that data is based off of a report from Final Site. That is an enrollment projection data that is used through the state, through OFCC, and I can certainly provide that information. That data that comes from Final Site is data that all school districts that are partnering with the OFCC are required by law to have. It is about a 50 to 60 page report that tracks the attendance and the enrollment data for us going out 25, 30 years. And that's a public document that we have I'm willing to share.
I appreciate that. I'm gonna be very frank with you. I have difficulty understanding how anyone can forecast 25 to 30 years into the future about a declining student base, the declining population base, and a declining population base based on school districts and the allocation of the school districts. And if you're talking about a study that's being used by an entity that is only solely being used for school districts, it sounds like it could be rather self-serving. So I'm just, well, I don't care where it's out of. I don't care if it's out of another state. My point is, the only focus they have is on school enrollment. And you know as well as I do that school enrollment is one of the key factors in allocation of funding into the future. And when somebody is telling me they have a 25-year forecast that we're gonna maintain, and we just had a comprehensive study done from an outside agency that indicates that that's not accurate, I'm sorry, but I have problems with understanding. I wanna understand where the data is coming from.
Yeah,
Because I just think a 25-year forecast is way off the
I'm
mark.
not upset with the questions at all. You know, it's data that we are required to ask for
Yes, sir.
if we're working through the OFCC. It's data that we didn't compile. It's done by, you know.
No, I appreciate it.
So all I can share for you is my experience with that data from other places that I've been is that data is usually pretty accurate based off of, you know, just in my career, okay? And that's just a personal comment of mine. Now, all I can do is say I'll share that data with you. That data has been publicly available on everything that we have on our website.
Sure.
And I'll give that for you. It's not my data.
No,
It's not
what do you
my
bet it's
data.
not the last time we're gonna hear it
Sure.
among school districts?
I don't know. But for our purposes, you know, it was important, what we were told as a result of that data, we're not building or lacking building based off of our enrollment. Our enrollment is not expected to go up or go down much, right? So we use that information from the perspective of, you know, there could be school districts that have to build because they're growing, or have, you know, significantly, or have to shutter schools because they are losing a lot of enrollment. That's not our situation. Our situation is that, according to this report, we expect enrollment to be pretty stable.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for the questions. And we good? I'm gonna turn it over.
Oh, yeah, by all means.
All right, thank you.
On the student enrollment, so this is what you provided us, right? So it did go down from 2023 at 2246 down to projected in even 2028 as 2001. So that's about a 10% increase.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
But it is, but that's exactly what I said. I said 1,900 to 2,100 students.
Yeah.
is what we were
Yeah,
projecting.
yeah, I'm just
You're right,
saying, but
yeah.
you were up
Yeah.
to about 2246, and now you're down 10%, you expect to stay there.
Thank you.
that's where our focus has been for them. At any time you have questions, please feel free. Just so you know, all of our focus is not just on the brand new high school. Been with the district for a year and a half. A year ago, obviously, just been around for like 6 months. Jeff has also been with the district now 2.5 years. We're just about 1 year into our new operations manager. Last summer, we all got together and said, we need to do more than just a new high school. We got to take care of our facilities. So using our permit improvement funds and our sales tax revenue that had some balances built up in those accounts, we spent $2.5 million last summer on our facilities. 1.2 million went into a paving project around the elementary building, the soccer field, baseball, softball field, parking lot area, new parking, repaved the parking lots around the elementary building. We also did some roofing at the elementary building, new playground, new fencing. We replaced all kinds of cracked concrete around the district. We spent $150,000 on new geothermal pumps and a lot of other work. It was roughly $2.5 million spent last summer. We're going to spend about $2.5 million again this summer from those same funds because the sales tax dollars are very helpful to us, and we thank the county administration and the people back in 2007 when they passed it. It was very helpful. The PI money, once again, is used for that. Now, this coming summer, most of the money will be spent on additional roofing for the elementary building. Since we have an entire summer to work with, a large portion of that, almost $1.5 million, is going to be spent on elementary school roofing, and it still won't be done. We'll have more to do the following summer to finish up the project. The high school roofing will be addressed as well, and there's a few other projects we're going to be working on, but the idea is we want to invest in our facilities and take care of our facilities. However, past experience with school districts, as a business manager and whatnot, our junior high, as much as the community, some members of the community have pushed us to fix that building, it truly is to the point where we'd have to spend millions on a building and maybe just to get a few more years out of it. It's beyond repair. And it doesn't meet the needs, current educational needs of students who need Wi-Fi and be able to plug in their devices and all the different things, different ways of teaching that teachers need to do today. So it's time. It's time for that building to go. So, last year, as Jeff already mentioned, unsuccessful bond issue in May. What do? We circled the wagons and said, okay, our plan included stadium upgrades and some other things, parking lots, and we had some nice ideas with the bond issue, what we could do. But, okay, what can we do? What do we really need? And we said, okay, give us the stadium. We need to focus on warm, safe, and dry issues on the buildings that will remain. Elementary building's 25 years old, but also the current high school, that's not going anywhere. What do we need to do to keep those warm, safe, and dry? And a new high school that's appropriate, but also meets the needs of the kids going forward, so it's good for the next 75 years. Also, we need to demo the current junior high. So, how can we achieve that goal? And with that said, I asked you, in the packet I turned out, go to page 6. You come to this sheet, the source of funds. So we say we're building we have a $65 million construction project. I want to explain exactly where those funds are coming from and the fact that we are not increasing taxes for taxpayers. And if you look at our finances.
Excuse me, we don't have our numbers.
You don't have this? It's not.
Yeah, it's this one.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Source of funds.
Source of
10.
funds. It says 10 on it because I pulled it off another
There you go,
presentation.
got it.
But anyway, in May last year, we transferred $32 million from our general fund into the 070 account. Our bond retirement fund, we paid off the elementary building this past November, and there's $1 million left in that account. And we transferred it, we had it all approved through the courts as required by law. The 003 permanent improvement fund will bring in $850,000 this year, and we will transfer that into the source, the 070. And our sales tax revenue, $1.5 million, will be transferred into the 070. Also, the interest that we will earn between now, this whole fiscal year in the 070 account will be about $1.4 million, a little more actually. And the general fund transfer of $3.2 million will bring our account total in the 070 to $40 million, locally sourced funds. We want to get a capstone for $23 million. If you want to know the truth, the last couple of days I've been working on the paperwork for that to get that all going. There will be a resolution on the board agenda in the coming months. I hope in April, maybe March, depends on how soon we get the information from the board. And once we get all those dollars in the 070 fund, I keep it invested in Star Ohio. As needed, I'll pull it out based on when we write checks, but in the meantime, it's earning interest. And over the 3-year design and construction period, we should earn a minimum of $4 million, probably more than that. In the first year, probably $2 million. But the point is, we will have enough funds to reach our $65 million budget, and a few extra dollars should we need something for some unanticipated expenses, or contingency, if you will. But the point is, that's where our funding is coming from when we talk about a self-funded high school. There's some money in there, the $65 million project is split up like this. $59 million for the actual new building, $1 million to tear down and demo the old junior high,
How much for the new building?
the $59 million. We're using the OFCC model, and we are including an auditorium and that, so there's some square footage for that. The $59 million new building, $1 million for demolition, and $5 million to give a shot in the arm to the old high school to make it better. It won't be perfect, but it'll be a much better building. We'll take care of some plumbing issues, painting, and repair things that have probably been broken for a while, and just make it a nicer building for the junior high. And there's plenty of space in there that we can do some nice things with for our staff and our community. And once the 6th grade move in, we're gonna start off in the junior high just to make the transition simple, otherwise it's craziness on some, it's crazy already, it's another level of crazy about bringing the 6th grade over. But if we bring the 6th grade over the following year, 2030, that opens up room in the large elementary complex. We always have a long list of people who apply for the preschool, and we can't accept them all. Now we can accept more people in preschool, more students. That will be 5 years down the road, that's the goal.
What's the source of revenues for the 003 fund?
The 03 is property tax dollars, it's permanent improvement, it's inside the.
So I'm gonna ask you, these are contingencies based on property taxes as well. And we all know, I mean, let's face it, that's the elephant in the room. We all know that property tax issues are under heavy scrutiny. I just checked this morning, Tony can verify. We have, as of this morning, we have 181 cases for, for the BOR, for the Board of Revision. That's more than we've ever had, and we still have 2 months to go. We're anticipating 350 cases for Board of Revision. Those cases are solely based on the increase in the property taxes and people's dissension of those property tax increases. That's in one community. What are we going to do? What contingencies are we considering if the referendum movement to eliminate property taxes passes?
Well, honestly, I'm the treasurer for the school system. I'm using the system that the state has legislated for us to use.
Okay.
I wish it was within my purview to change that, but that's not. I'm gonna do the best I can, but if they take away all property taxes, we'll be sitting on maybe a $6-7 million a year revenue. We can't run school districts.
Well, I would anticipate, I mean, in all fairness, I would anticipate that they're not going to just leave a sucking vacuum if that happened.
I would hope not.
But I don't know what the resources would be. I mean, sales tax? I mean, that would be a realignment of a lot of different things. But I'm saying, as we move forward in every school district, we're gonna have this conversation, at least I'm gonna have this conversation with every single school district. I wanna know what their contingency plans are, because I don't wanna see a school district go dark. I don't wanna see those kind of problems. But we cannot continue to think about grand buildings and super buildings and super expansions on a number one, a declining population, number two, a declining student population, and number three, an issue with property taxes that is not going away.
And sir, I understand that, but I'll say this. We have to make plans for the future, and a 1957 building that is not warm, safe, and dry, it's not appropriate for education. We have to do something, and we have the opportunity to do something.
Yes, sir.
I don't know that sitting on our hands waiting is fiscally or administratively responsible. We're trying to take care of the needs now, because if we wait 2 more years, a $59 million building is now $66 million.
What I'm asking is whether or not you're considering those in contingency plans. I'm not saying you have an answer, because I certainly don't. I'm asking whether in your master planning, that issue is coming up.
It could, it very well could, but then, I would hope that the state has an answer for that, because it's not my ability to assess and replace $23 million worth of taxes.
Absolutely.
We can't do that.
So
No, I agree.
I would say, you know, to add on to what Mark was saying to that question, it's a great question. Of course, we have to determine that question internally. All school districts are gonna have to do that, right? We follow the rules as we are prescribed to follow the rules, right? The changes in public school funding are absolutely going to cause public school districts to have to find revenue sources. Okay, what are those revenue sources? They are operation money, taxpayers. In my opening comments, talked about the concern we have that with the history of Buckeye, of that being a struggle for us, right? I think public school districts are probably going to need to consider options such as be on the ballot much earlier than they had projected. I think those things are going to be real for us and probably every school district that you're talking to.
I think you're gonna reach a point of frustration with taxpayers, and they're not gonna approve anything.
It's very
Because they're
possible.
going to say, and when we have I don't know, Tony, I don't know if you know, John, do you know the percentage of increase in the Board of Revisions cases that we've had over the past 3 or 4 years?
I can't remember, I don't recall what in 22, so 23, Board of Revision went, because that's the most likely, because the Board of Revision isn't a linear case. It drops, so last year was the
Right.
lowest year, so in 22, yeah,
Right.
do you remember what?
And now we're in the 60
range.
So, of course, I guess we were in the 300 range as
Okay.
far as Board of Revisions for
Because
a
we're
similar
anticipating-
type thing.
Right, because we're anticipating about 350 cases. What I'm saying is, how many will be successful? I don't know. Each case is based on their own merit. What I'm saying is, it's a litmus test of the community's tolerance across the county. And we are getting, in my concerned opinion, we are getting to a breaking point where people are going to start simply rejecting anything on the ballot that costs more money. And that's a concern I have.
And it's,
So that was what.
And I think we all should.
we could have a very long discussion on what happened 25 years ago, DeRolf, all that stuff. And when the state percentage of funding schools has dropped over those 25 years, it puts the burden on the local taxpayers
Yes, sir.
because schools don't have anywhere else to go. And the state created this situation. I'm a little guy, I just do my job, and I can't change what the state's legislating. But if they would have done more on the state side, there'd be less property tax requests on our side.
No doubt.
So it's above you and me.
Well, I'd like to address one other item you mentioned too regarding, you know, the building of a facility. The previous bond plans that were not successful in Buckeye, some since I have been there and some that predated me, were very large plans. High school, middle school, new stadium, new auditorium, new performance arts center, right? Massive plans, $80 million type plans. As we have responded to those plans not being supported, we have scaled back the plan. We're building a high school. We're updating our current high school so our junior high school kids can get there. It is nowhere near the plan that was put in front of the community multiple times. So I respect your point that, you know, we're not building, and you didn't say this, we're not building a palace, right? But we need to build an appropriate school. And I think our plan has that in play. I'm confident that we will build the appropriate school for our students, for our staff, and for our community. And I'm very happy that in 2029, we will be able to get our junior high school students out of the school that they're in now.
Now, you mentioned that you were gonna raise that building?
Yeah, the junior high school.
Demolish it,
Yes.
Okay. What are you gonna do with the property?
We'll probably turn it into green space because it may be right between the old high school and the new high school, or maybe something nice for outdoor learning or something.
We're all on one campus.
We're
Yeah,
still,
I'm somewhat aware.
We're still in the
I'm not
process.
intimately aware with every building, you know, on the property, but I have a general.
we're still in the process of visioning what could be. We haven't designed it, there's nothing written on paper.
Okay.
We're still working with architects, the community, visiting schools with its in-depth process.
What was your estimate for repairing? You said that was way more than the 59 million for the
Yeah,
school.
we engaged an architecture firm last year, and they came and they did a facility-wide assessment of all our facilities. But the junior high came in, I believe it was something like $26 million that they could see without doing any investigative drilling behind walls and seeing, what really needed to be done. But 26 million for repairs versus building a brand new junior high, which has been in the mid-30s, maybe a little higher. They said it was over the 67% red line, where they said there's no point in fixing what is that far gone. You might as well build brand new.
So it's a great question, because there was a similar study by the OFCC that said the same thing years ago. And there was some concern in the community that the OFCC report wasn't accurate enough. So we engaged with an outside entity, an outside architect firm, to come in and do a professional review. That professional review solidified even more that junior high school is not repairable. And from an OFCC perspective, the OFCC would not co-fund that building at all. It wouldn't give us any money to do anything with that building.
And likewise, that same report, assessments of other facilities, we're using that report to guide our capital improvement spend over the next few years on those other facilities to make sure we take care of them, keeping them warm, safe, and dry. We spend our dollars smartly, but also to ensure long-term viability of